Here is pre-calc homework story problems. In questions 1 through 8, the directions are simply to set up the story problem. You do not have to solve them. So for question number 1, it says the sum of two numbers is 15. So that would be if you're just going to call your numbers x and y. Let x and y be the two numbers. The sum of the two numbers would be x plus y equals 15. And the difference of their squares, so if you square these two numbers, you get 5. So if you were asked to solve this, what you would do is solve one equation for y and plug it into the other equation. But these are your two equations that you would use. Number 2, it says the sum of the squares of two consecutive integers is 4,513. Well, consecutive numbers are n plus 1, n plus 2, and so on. So we're going to add the square. We're going to square two of them, add them together, and set it equal to 4,513. You do not have to solve this. But if you were to solve it, you would go to your calculator, and under y1 you would type all this, bring over the 4,513 on the other side. But you don't have to solve it. This is the answer. Number 2. It says a rectangle has a perimeter of 45 centimeters in an area of 112.5. So here is your rectangle. And if we call one side x and one side y, the perimeter is 2x plus 2y, and you would set that equal to 45. And then the area is x times y. So x times y is 112.5. The next problem says a triangle has an area of 96 square inches. So formula for area of a triangle, area is 1/2 times the base times the height. So if the area is 96, you're going to put a 96 right here. Then it says its height is 2/3 its base. So if the height is 2/3 the base, you can plug this in for h right here. So you have 96 is equal to 1/2 b times 2/3 b. Now you can obviously simplify this. This is a product. These 2's will cancel, and b times b is b squared. So a simplified answer would be 96 equals 1/3 b squared. Number 8, it says a corner lot has dimensions of 25 by 40 yards. So here's your yard, our lot, and it is 25 by 40. And we are going to, the city plans to take a strip of uniform width along each of these, just two of the sides. So if you want to just do that. So from here to here is 25, and if we add x, and if here to here is 40, and you're going to add x. So the dimensions from here to here is 40 plus x. So 40 and x is 40 plus x, and from here to here would be 25 plus x. So it says the area of the remaining of the lot is to have an area of 844 square yards. So if you look at the area of the whole thing and you subtract the area of the lot, set that equal to 844. So this is what you have. You have 40 plus x times 25 plus x. We're going to subtract the area, this area, which is 40 times 25, and you're going to set this equal to the area 844. So it's the area of the whole thing subtract the area of the 25 by 40 lot, and then set that equal to 844. Number 11, now we will solve these. A radiator contains 8 quarts of fluid. So we have 2 different types of fluid. One fluid is 40%, and the other one is pure. We want our new fluid to be 60%. So what you're gonna do, your 2, how many ounces or quarts? We have 8 of the 2. One of them is 40%, so 0.40x plus, the other one is 100%, 1.0y. And we want our new mixture to be 60%, so 0.60 times 8. That's what goes right here, 0.60 times 8. Those are your 2 equations, and you can solve them any way you would like. I like to get rid of my my decimals. I would move this one over 1, make that a 10, and make that 6. So I would turn this equation into 4x, multiplying everything by 10, plus 10y is equal to, and then 6 times 8 is 48. And then this one is x plus y equals 8. Now I would multiply this bottom equation by -4. So this equation would be -4x minus 4y equals -32. And this one stayed the same, 4x plus 10y equals 48. These cancel, you get 6y equals, pencil just broke, that would be 16. And then divide, y equals, what is 16? 16 divided by 6, and that would be 2 2/3 quarts. So 2 2/3 quarts of the pure, and then subtract that from the 8. And you get 5 1/3. So x is 5 1/3. So your final answer would be 2 2/3 quarts of the pure and 5 1/3 quart of the 40% solution. This is 40. And this is the pure. Make sure you label your answers. Number 12, same problem but just different numbers. You need 10 quarts of fluid. So a radiator contains 10 quarts of fluid. So what we want to do is label x and y is our 2 quarts, and we want 10 quarts of it. 30% is our antifreeze, and we want pure antifreeze. We want our new mixture to be 40%. So 0.30x plus 1.0y equals, we're going to do 0.40 times the 10. And again, I don't want to deal with decimals, so I'm going to multiply everything by 10. So this equation would be 3x plus 10y equals, and this is going to be 4 times 10, which is 40. And my top equation, I'm just going to rewrite it. I would multiply this by -3. So what do we have here? We have 3x plus 10y equals 40. Multiply this whole thing by 3, -3. And add, I get 7y equals 10. So let's do 10 divided by 7. And I get 1.43, we'll say 1.43. And that would be quarts of the pure, and then subtract that from 10. and you get 8.57. So this would be quarts, and that's pure. And that would be this one would be the 30%. Two cars leave a gas station at the same time. So here's your gas station. And one is going north and one is going south. So we have north and south. And remember, distance is equal to rate times time. The northbound car is going 50 miles an hour and they're going for 3 hours. So distance is equal to rate times time. So 50 miles an hour for 3 hours. The second car, the southbound car, we don't know how fast they're going. So we're going to call that R. And they also are going for 3 hours. But after 3 hours, the two cars have traveled their distance. If you add these two distances up, it's equal to 345. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this. We're going to take this distance of the northbound car, the distance of the southbound car, add them together. So 50 times 3 plus, this is 3R. Set that equal to 345. So this is 150. Subtract 150. And you get 3R is 195. Divide by 3, and you should get 195 divided by 3 is 65. So the southbound car is going 65 miles per hour. The next one, an airplane flew with wind for 2.5 hours and return the same distance. So the distances they tell you are going to be the same. Same distance. So you set these two equal to each other. So against the wind it's going to take you longer. Now when we do against the wind, it's R minus W. Against the wind is R minus W. And with the wind, it's R plus W, the wind speed. Well, the plane is cruising at 300 miles per hour. That's the plane speed. So if it's taking 2.5 hours with the wind, that's with tailwind, and 3.5 hours against the wind, we're going to do the distance is equal to the distance. So that's rate times time is equal to rate times time. So we're going to do with the wind. With the wind is going to be 360 plus R. And it's going to take 2.5 hours. And against the wind is 360 minus R, and that takes a little longer. Now what you could do is distribute. You're going to simplify this one, and you're going to solve for R. R is going to end up being 60 miles per hour. Number 15, it says the average of two real numbers is 41.375 and their product is 1668. What are the numbers? So if we call the numbers x and y, the average of two numbers, x plus y divided by 2 is 41.375. And their product, x times y, is equal to 1,668. What you're going to want to do, you're going to want to solve one equation for x or y. I would probably solve this one for y. So I would multiply this by 2. So 41.375 times 2. You're just doubling that. And you're going to solve for y. So y is equal to 82.75 minus x. I would plug this in here for y. You're going to use substitution. So you get x times 82.75 minus x equals 1,668. So using your graphing calculator, I would just type this in, x, and then parenthesis 82.75 minus x, and then minus 1,668. Hit graph. And where your graph, here's my picture. And so these are the two numbers, you want to find these two solutions. So I changed my window, they go by 20s. So each of those, my graph, so 20 and then 40. So the first number looks like it's between 20 and 40. So hit second calc, 0. And I'm going to do 20, enter, 40, enter, enter. The first number is 34.75. And you could find the other answer by substituting in here, or what you can do is use your calculator and do second calc. And that 0 looks like it's between 40, enter, and 60, and it's 48. These are your two numbers. Number 16. A rectangle is 4 times as long as it is wide. So here's your rectangle. It's 4 times as long as it is wide. So x, and then this would be 4x. If it has an area of 36 square inches, what are the dimensions? So if you multiply these two together, so 4x times x, set this equal to 36. That's the area. You get 4x squared equals 36. Divide by 4, you get 9, take the square root. And you normally get plus or minus 3, but you're going to eliminate the negative answer. So you're going to say x is 3. So it's a 3 by 12 rectangle. So it's 3 by 12. And it's in inches. Okay. Number let's go to, here is number 17. There's a picture of 17. You have it says a 13-foot ladder, here's your 13-foot ladder, is leaning against the wall. The bottom of the ladder is 5 feet from the bottom. If the bottom is pulled out 3 feet further, so now you're at 8 feet, the ladder still is 13 feet. How far does the top of the ladder move down the wall? So you're looking at how far down it moves. So what I would do is I would use the Pythagorean theorem for both of these, and I would subtract these two numbers to figure out how far it moved, which is 1.75. So you've got your 5 feet and your 8 feet. It's still a 13-foot ladder. So you're going to figure out these two sides right here. And then the difference would be the how far it moved. So 1.75 is the answer for that one. Next one, number 19. Number 19, Little Red Riding Hood drives 432 miles to grandmother's house in 1 hour less than it takes the wolf. So we've got Little Red Riding Hood and the wolf. And again, distance is equal to rate times time. Okay, it says that to go to grandmother's house, it's 432 miles. So both Red Riding Hood and the wolf are both going 432 miles. But it says Little Red Riding Hood her average speed is 6 miles per hour faster than the wolf. So if we don't know what the wolf's is, Red's is 6 more than that. And it takes the wolf, Red Riding Hood is going 1 hour less than it takes the wolf. So I'm going to call this, the wolf is T, I'm going to make this T minus 1 hour less. So then what you're going to want to do is solve one of these equations. I would solve this one for T. T is equal to 432 over R. And then I would substitute this right in here for T. So what you have here is a new equation. You have 432 equals, we're going to write R plus 6, and then times 432 over R minus 1. I'm going to take my graphing calculator, and I'm going to plug this into my calculator, and you're going to see that R is, you're going to solve for R using your calculator. Now look for numbers. Obviously someone's speed is not going to be 5, 6, it's going to be a little faster. So this one, the speed is 40, it ends up being 48.6 on your graphing calculator. And so what you want to do is find, you're going to add 6 because you want to find Little Red Riding Hood's, because that's the wolf's speed. You want to add 6 to that. So if you add 6 to this, to 48.5, I'm sorry, 48.5 is, 48.5 is the answer to the wolf's. Now if you add 6 to that, you end up with 54.6 miles per hour, and that's Little Red Riding Hood speed. And you're going to use your graphing calculator to calculate the intercepts. Number 20. To get to work, Sam jogs 3 kilometers to the train, and then he rides the remaining 5 kilometers. If the train goes 40 miles per hour faster than Sam's constant rate of jogging, and the entire trip takes 30 minutes, now we're talking minutes in kilometers per hour, so we're going to have to convert minutes into hours. So 30 minutes is equal to half hour. So make sure you do the conversion. So we're talking about Sam jogging versus the train. And jogging, we want to go distance is equal to rate times time. So he jogs 3 kilometers and he's on the train for 5. Now, we do not know the rate that he jogs, and we don't know the time, so we're going to call that T1. We do know that the train is 40 kilometers faster than his jog, so R plus 40, but we don't know the time. We're going to call that T2. So what you're going to do is solve this for T1. T1 is 3 over R, and T2 is 5 over R plus 40. You're going to add, it says it takes a half hour, 30 minutes to complete both the jog and the train. So if T1 plus T2 is equal to 30 minutes or a half hour, you're going to plug these two in. So 3 over R plus 5 over R plus 40, set that equal to a half. You're going to use your graphing calculator and you're going to find out R is 7.59. So that is the rate. It says how fast does Sam jog? That would be your R value, 7.59 kilometers per hour. Now if they asked you how fast was the train, you'd add 40 to that, and that would be your train speed. Um, 21. These are the velocity problems. If you're throwing something down or up, your velocity is going to change. It's going to be positive or negative. So if you're dropping something, your velocity is going to be 0. But if you're throwing something up, it's going to be positive. If you're throwing it down, it's going to be negative. So for 21, it says, how long does it take an object to reach the ground in each case? And this is one case. It's dropped from the top of a 640-foot high building. So your equation is h equals negative 16t squared plus VOT plus HO. So if you read this question, the initial height of the object is 640. So that's the 640 goes here. That's the height of where the object is. And if you're dropping something, dropping it means you don't have a velocity. So this is going to be 0, so 0t. Now we want to know how long will it take to reach the ground. The ground is 0 height. So how do you solve this one? Well, all you have is negative 16t squared plus 640. So you could easily subtract 640. The two negatives will cancel out, so you're going to do 640 divided by 16, and you get 40. And you're going to take the square root of both sides. And what's the square root of 40? It's plus or minus 6.32. And you're going to ignore the negative, so it's 6.32 seconds. Now for B is saying it's thrown downward, so your velocity is going to be negative. So you have h equals negative 16t squared minus 52t plus 640. When you're dropping it down, your initial velocity is going to be negative, and this is going to be 0. So your height, you still want to find out when it's going to hit the ground. So what I would do is type this in your calculator and see where it hits the x-axis. So let's do that. Negative 16x squared minus 52x, and then plus 640. Hit graph. Now I'm going to change my window. I'm going to zoom standard. And right there that would be the answer. You're going to hit second calc 0, and that looks like it's between 3 enter, 7 enter, and there's your answer, 4.904 seconds, and that would be the answer.